Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Stonks Maxing Day 26. Welcome back to another episode. So, got about 2 days before my presentation on Eli Lilly, so I really got to lock in for the next 2 days. What I want to do is, for this stream, pretty much finalize some of the slides that I want to present and really get the valuation portion down. Okay, so I'm trying to see here. Let's see if I can kind of paste this. Right, I think for the valuation of Eli Lilly, I really want to focus on the revenues and kind of how we forecasted revenues. So it seems like for the next So this is from 2019 to 2033. It's about 14 years. But basically, our big idea is that we think Mounjaro and Zepbound, along with some other newer drugs within the pipeline that are also related to obesity, namely orforglipron, retatrutide, retatrutide and orforglipron. Might have to work on that pronunciation. I keep saying I need to work on that, but I never do. Okay, so there's really two things maybe to think about here. We have really this massive spike in diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic growth for Eli Lilly. And then also in terms of breaking down it by product, yeah, maybe don't even need to go into what the chart is saying, but so why diabetes, cardiometabolic? Okay, so maybe I could structure it like this, right? We really think that diabetes, obesity, cardiometabolic is going to be the driving force behind revenue, is going to be the driving force behind Eli Lilly's revenue growth. The chart that describes, and this is further broken down by our aggregation of revenue to get a clear understanding of what we're thinking. Yeah. And we think that this growth is going to be really driven by around 9 of Eli Lilly's top products that are currently active in the market, and also part of Eli Lilly's future pipeline, and also that are part of Eli Lilly's future drug pipeline. The biggest ones being Zepbound and Mounjaro. Okay, something like that. Right, and then what is operating leverage, by the way? Because I was thinking about this. Fixed cost divided by total cost. Okay, let's try to see here actually. So we're actually forecasting pretty consistent growth margin. Operating margin. I wonder if you can get higher than this, right? So are there economies of scale in pharma? Yeah, I guess there is. But I guess once you get to Eli Lilly's stage, I mean, how much more efficient can you get in terms of okay, this is a bit too much. I don't want to get too deep into some of the theory behind this. Much does it cost to produce insulin? Okay, so that's interesting. There's a new insulin cap, right? Okay, so how do you calculate? What am I trying to do here, by the way? So, valuation, let me take a look. Actually, at Okay, what am I trying to look at here, by the way? Do final stock pitches tips. Okay. Okay, so I guess maybe think about here. One thing I want to add is, let's see, valuation time frame. Right, and so I think, so valuation time frame, we decided to do 10 years, and I think there's maybe a lot of value to capture. So 10-year valuation. Lots of growth in, so 10-year valuation, there is lots hype around new products and lots of future expectations for growth. Why? Okay. So there's lots of hype. Hey, do you guys have a class here?
Yeah.
Okay.
At 6. You want us to leave first?
Sorry?
You want us to leave first?
Oh no, I'm just here.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, when do you guys have class?
At 6.
At 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so it seems like there's a class in here, so I gotta dip real quick. Alright, so basically though, for evaluation, 10 years, lots of hype around new products, lots of future growth expectation, growth. Hey, is it okay if I see you? Thanks. Okay, so I found a new spot. Just got kicked out of the classroom, but should be good now. Alright, so going back to the question, 10-year valuation, why? So there's hype around new products, future expectations for growth. Actually, 10-year value forecast period. So there's hype around, lots of hype, and lots of growth. Help understand future drivers of value. Okay. Maybe add a little crystal ball. Crystal ball. It's a little cute photo. Okay, so that's good. All right, and then first we can maybe go through kind of the tailwinds, revenue forecast, and maybe number one. We could, all right. So revenue forecast. This is the biggest portion, the most important part of our valuation. All right, I'm trying to think here. Should I mention the tailwinds and headwinds on this slide, or should I mention it in a different slide? Okay, so there's also provide rationale for sales forecasts, including separate forecasting by product division. Damn, there's nothing really. Okay, wait. So there's 2.1 billion. Okay. Yeah, I might add this on a separate slide actually, so. Product breakdown. Okay, so okay, so I think maybe this is probably going to be pretty helpful for the obesity slash obesity, diabetes, drugs, right? I think this is probably where it'll be helpful to break down what is going on. And I don't actually have that breakdown here. We just have the growth, right? But in terms of, excuse me, so we have growth And let's do quantity. So quantity, and then let's do price. So let's assume that it's $1,000. Okay, in this case, this is in billions. So we take 1,000 divided by, sorry, that's in millions. So we have 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. We want a number here. Alright. So simplify that, and then now we have quantity. Oh. So this is a lot. I wonder if we could maybe divide this by millions. Actually, so what if we just do this, right? How about this? Yeah, it's hard to interpret actually. I'm just gonna go back to this thing. Then we divide this by 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 5.6. So 5.16 million. Price, millions. Millions. Okay, this actually provides a much better right. I think every single time you let's try to think. So how many injections for Manjaro? Once weekly. Once a week for 4 weeks. So you buy this every 4 weeks. All right. So we could divide that by 12. So years, months. So we by 12. Oops. Users. So maybe this is a really gross. This is really an approximation for the number of users per month. So this is 50 million dosage. So that's like 4 million that are taking it, 4 million people that are taking it each year. Huh. What is this though? So if you were to grow the number of users. Okay, yeah, it's 80%. So this would be like 700,000 people would use it. So price, millions. I think it's also the same thing. Let's do this. Let's see. How many people are using Zepbound today? Okay, so this is interesting. These products are expected to go next year, or I guess this is expected to yeah, maybe I can move this actually to the manufacturing. Maybe I'll move the drug pipeline down here. Maybe. Let's see. So revenue forecasts, I'm trying to think here, product breakdown. open next year. Open 2025. Okay. Huh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Check status. See, tirzepatide currently in shortage, right? What about semaglutide? Yeah, it's currently in shortage. All right.
Just sit back.
So I'm trying to think here. What is the total? Let's copy this. Paste this over here. Oops. Okay, so one thing I wanted to do here was kind of aggregate all of our data. So in terms of dollar amounts, this is $589 billion worth of product, and I think in terms of say quantity millions, we have divided by 1 million. Really, it's that low. Oh, okay, I have the swap, that's why. Alright, there we go. Okay, so in terms of quantity sold, okay, we think that's going to be able to move around 60 million units. All right, and then in terms of users, we divide this by 12, and then we get yeah. Yeah, maybe Trulicity. Let's take a look here. We could add that as well. Or Taxitide, maybe. Okay, so we have this, and then I think maybe what we could do is same thing here. So I wonder if they provide any guidance. Eli Lilly annual reports. For Eli Lilly, if they provided any guidance on how much they're charging. So Eli Lilly, actually, let's do 10Q. Zep bound. Okay, so we have total 1,800. Zep bound is 517. All right, let's do a gut check. So in 2024, we're forecasting really high, so up to 1,000, 9,000, so almost 10,000. I have a lot of slides here. Man, alright. So, alright, 2024 alone. So you have tripled the amount of revenue, right? So I wonder if there's kind of a cap to the growth that can happen this year. Just because I'm not entirely sure if there's enough supply to meet the demand. Right, okay, so it seems like the pricing dynamics behind different drugs can get pretty complicated. I think as a simplification for our model, we could just argue that we're going to assume a constant price. So why is it complicated? You have regulation regarding who can actually get covered for, right? Who can get covered for the certain types of drugs. So there's Medicare that can cover, to some extent, some of the costs of Zepbound and Mounjaro. Then you have kind of private insurance that can also cover some portion, but then you have people paying out of pocket. And for these three different types of people, the rebates that are negotiated for those that are under some type of health insurance plan, they usually have pharmacy benefit managers negotiating on behalf of those plans. And so the rebates that Eli Lilly pays to those people is kind of non-transparent. We can't really find any data about that. And compared to those who have to pay full price not using insurance, they don't really get any rebates on behalf of them. Then you also have the idea of savings cards, which Eli Lilly issues to people who are eligible, usually people that really need the drug but just don't have the income to support it. Okay, so I think retatrutide. Let's see. So what if I did, instead of 1,000, maybe like 800? Right, okay. Quantity, retatrutide. So let's take this and let's also maybe estimate the price using millions. Yeah, okay. Maybe just, that would be guesstimating, so it's really tough to do. I think just using these two would be interesting. So let's insert maybe a chart here to kind of describe what's going on. Actually insert, I wonder what will happen if I do this. Let's do this maybe. So we have Jaro. For delete growth. Delete growth here. Oops. Oh man, okay, we need that. Alright. So insert. Should I do this? Maybe a stacked column chart. Select data. Alright. X values. So what should I use for X values? Maybe quantity. Happens if I do this. Ah, it's tough. Alright, wait. Let's do this. Manjaro. Quantity. Users. Okay, and then we have zep bound, and then quantity, users. Right, okay. Let us insert a chart here, maybe. Ooh, wait, actually, let's add the years here. 2020. '23 plus 1. All right. Is that a stacked chart, maybe? Okay, maybe we could create two charts actually. So do Manjaro quantity and then set bound quantity. So do Manjaro users and then set bound users. Okay, set bound to Jaro that and then okay, that's good. Oops. Okay, solid. All right. 2023 and 1. let's see what this chart will look like now. Recommended charts. Alright. Yeah, I like this. This is actually pretty good. Forecasted sales volume. So forecasted sales volume, this is going to be Manjaro plus Zep bound, right? And then we also have in this case, let's see. So forecasted users, Manjaro, forecasted patients, patient volume, Manjaro plus Zep bound. I wonder if there's a different color we could use, right? What is oops, more colors. Monochromatic. All right. Chart options. How did I get that one like color option? Where was it? Draw page layout data. Oh, maybe chart design. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. So are we crazy? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is millions? I wonder if there's a way we can label this in terms of its units, because I don't think this is. This is in 10,000? Oh wait a minute. Okay, so actually here we go. We have 160. So this is in millions actually, right? I want to say number display units in millions. Oops. Display units hundreds. None. How do I add? Okay. In millions. Okay, it's great. All right, so fork. Okay, so we think that there's gonna be $140 10 years, 140 million, 140 million units sold, and then in 10 years, so we have almost 12 million patients will be on Right. I feel like this is probably too low. I think the price might be a bit too high. So what if we do like I think nowadays rebates are around 40%. Okay. So users annually. So actually, let's actually sum this up. $81 million. Okay. Around 900 million files will have been sold. Okay, so let's try to think about what we're at here right now. Valuation. So I'm not entirely sure where I should put this drug pipeline. So we talk about the drug pipeline, then the number of forecasting periods, revenue forecast, product breakdown. Are we crazy? Okay, so let's see. Valuation. Huh. Maybe I could add a different our approach. So 10-year forecasting this period. So incorporates estimates value of drug pipeline. So 10-year forecast period, estimate value of drug pipeline, and then estimate value of approved drugs. Think about financing, how growth is going. Think about manufacturing. Manufacturing. What are the investments required to grow? And how is this going to be financed? Okay, so maybe this is actually a good way to think about it. When it comes to evaluation, our approach was to use a 10-year forecast period. This is to capture a lot of the growth in terms of, the high growth period that is for, maybe this is so we could try to visualize. This is so that we could try to capture and visualize a lot of the growth opportunities. And then for Eli Lilly, we thought 5 years. Maybe we could say we thought that was better than 5. All right, and then estimating the value of our drug pipeline. Okay, so let's try to start from the top again. Our approach was to forecast using a 10-year period instead of 5. We think that there's a lot of growth and hype speculation for Eli Lilly, so it would be better for us 10-year forecast instead of 5. There's a lot of growth that we want to be able to visualize and understand. Now this gets a bit more interesting. Now the next step is a bit more interesting and I have to say a bit more assumption-based. That's estimating the value of the drug pipeline. Estimating the value of Eli Lilly's drug pipeline, which we'll get to in the next slide. Third was estimating the value of the currently approved drugs and the cash flows they'll generate. Value of approved drugs. So this is where it gets a bit interesting, right? Let's try to start again. Okay. For evaluation, our approach was to use a 10-year forecast period instead of 5. It's because there's a lot of growth speculation involved with a lot of the new obesity and diabetes drugs, so we want to be able to visualize and help capture that growth. We want to be able to help visualize that growth. Next step gets a bit interesting. So this is kind of unique to the pharma industry, but we tried estimating the value of Eli Lilly's drug pipeline, which we'll get to the next slide. And then we also tried estimating the value of the approved drugs, and then kind of try to answer the questions, what are the investments that are required to grow? So this is usually plant, property, and equipment, a lot of capital expenditure that goes into manufacturing. And then finally, how is this going to be financed? Debt or equity, or maybe using existing retained earnings. So I mentioned drug pipeline before, and pretty much what this is, it's all of the drugs that Eli Lilly is currently working on to get approved. So there's phase 1, phase 2, and that is trying to get approved. Maybe to talk about this. Okay. And specifically, we really try to analyze bids for the phase And specifically, we tried to analyze the phase 3 drug pipeline of Eli Lilly. Maybe I'll add phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials. Okay, so Eli Lilly contracts most clinical trials out to phase 1, let's see, small number of patients, see if drug is safe. Phase 2, medium number of patients, see if drug works. Phase 3, large number of patients, confirm safety and efficacy. So takes 5 to 10 years. Okay. Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting. So this is the drug pipeline I was talking about here. And maybe take a step back here. For the pharma industry, a lot of this is highly regulated. And how you actually get a drug approved. Okay. And so this is Eli Lilly's drug pipeline. At a high level, all it is. Actually, let me maybe create a little. I'm gonna create a little script here for me to read, but also charge my computer real quick. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Okay. For evaluation, our approach So our approach was to forecast a 10-year period to visualize, understand what the high growth expectations due to the new GLP-1 drugs. So for our evaluation, our approach, to evaluation is to forecast a 10-year period to visualize and understand the high growth expectations due to the new GLP-1 drugs, new obesity drugs.
I'd like him to finish the last question.
is value of So then we try to answer 4 key questions. What is the value of Eli Lilly's drug pipeline? What is Then we first 2 are really industry specific. What is the value of Eli Lilly's drug pipeline? What is the value of Eli Lilly's approved drugs? What is the Then how are they going to make Then what investments they need to make to grow, and finally, how are they going to finance these investments? Okay, so our approach to evaluation was to forecast the 10-year period to help visualize and understand the high growth expectations due to the new obesity drugs. Then we really try to answer 4 key questions. The first 2 are industry specific. What is the value of Eli Lilly's drug pipeline, and what is the value of Eli Lilly's approved drugs? Then, what investments do they need to grow, and finally, how are they going to finance these investments? So, valuing Eli Lilly's drug pipeline is we've found that with pharma companies, a lot of their value is derived from the potential of future drugs within their pipeline. These are drugs that haven't been approved yet, but are going through the stages of different stages of clinical trials. Okay. So we found that with pharma companies, a lot of their value is derived from the potential of future drugs within their pipeline. So these drugs haven't been approved yet, but are going through the different stages of clinical trials. Some keywords to know here. Breakdown of these drugs haven't been approved yet, but are going through different stages of clinical trials. The ones we've selected, we've identified 1, 2, 3, 4 drugs within Eli Lilly's pipeline that could provide lots of value in the future. So we've identified four different drugs that could provide that we think could be valuable for Eli Lilly in the future that we've incorporated into our revenue forecast. First, we have donanemab. This is an injectable Alzheimer's disease, an Alzheimer's treatment. Second is tirzepatide. And so this is actually the underlying ingredient for Mounjaro and Zepbound. But the reason why it's included here is because there's this thing called a new indication. And pretty much what that is, means, it's using tirzepatide or Mounjaro and Zepbound to treat other diseases aside from obesity. So some of the new things that are being pushed through clinical trials right now is Zepbound and Mounjaro for things like sleep apnea or cardiovascular disease. So this opens the broader market to prescribe tirzepatide for even greater patients and end markets. Are you guys crazy? So UMD, let's actually shuttle you. I have to see what time the bus comes. Alright, 7:35. Alright, I got time. We found that with pharma companies, a lot of their values derive from the potential of future drugs within their pipeline. These are drugs that haven't been approved yet, but are going through different stages of clinical trials. We've identified 4 drugs within Eli Lilly's pipeline that could provide lots of value in the future. So, let's see. Alzheimer's, tirzepatide, new indications. So, or for Gilipron, which is oral obesity, or Cashretide. Cashretide. Fancier jail. Tirzepatide. Okay.
Goodbye, Chris. Goodbye, now. See you at 4:35. Yeah.
So we found that with pharma companies, a lot of their value is derived from the potential of future drugs within their pipeline. These are drugs that haven't been approved yet, but are going through different stages of clinical trials. And we've identified 4 drugs within Eli Lilly's pipeline that could provide lots of value in the future. So the first one is donanemab. This is a drug to treat Alzheimer's. Second is tirzepatide. This is actually the same thing as Mounjaro and Zepbound, but the reason why it's included in the new drug pipeline is because of these things called new indications. Pretty much, this is the idea of you have one drug that treats obesity, but what if it also treats sleep apnea and cardiovascular disease? Well, you actually have to go through the approval process in order for you to be able to use that drug or market that drug as new indications. All right, that was a kind of scuffed way to say that. But then you have orforglipron, orforglipron, which is a tablet that you can take to control your weight, and then something called retatrutide, which is just a fancier version of tirzepatide. I think it has 3 different active ingredients. This is a fancier version of tirzepatide. And so this is a timeline. And so these are all in phase 3 clinical trials. So this is the last stage of clinical trials, usually at phase 1. Phase 1 is with a really small number of patients just to see if the drug is safe. Phase 2, we have kind of a medium number of patients, maybe 100 to 1,000, to see if the drug actually works. And then phase 3 is a larger number of patients, usually 1,000 to 3,000. And this is really to confirm whether or not your drug is safe and if it's effective. This is the longest period, it takes 5 to 10 years. And so the reason we included this timeline here, this is kind of the management's expectations of hopefully when these drugs will be approved. So all of this kind of brings us to the revenue forecast. And this is the driving force behind our evaluation. And in terms of what factors we've included or kind of built, in terms of factors that influenced, really this is okay, and so that brings us to our revenue forecast for the next 10 years. And you can see here that there's this exponential growth that's really driven by the diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic business segment for Eli Lilly. So in terms of tailwinds, we think that the GLP-1 miracle drugs are really going to be the driving factor behind this growth. And then also on the headwinds, we also have improved diabetes treatments and also a few oncology products that are helping grow the orange or the oncology business segment. Now the biggest headwinds here are the supply constraints and GLP-1 competition. So some of the headwinds that we try to take into consideration are the supply constraints, the GLP-1 competition, insulin price ceiling, and certain patent expirations for different drugs. So, patent expirations. Okay.
Yeah, that is really sad. But there were friends on work. Yeah, there was.
I deleted one. Did you do it all by hand? It was just sort.
Yeah. And so for the
All right. So product breakdown. In terms of product breakdown, all right, and drilling down a bit further, this is a breakdown of kind of how much the revenue comes from the top products. Drilling down a bit further, this is kind of a breakdown of how much revenue impact the top 9 products. drilling down a bit further, this is the breakdown of the impact of the top 9 products.
And
Ah, shit. Okay.
so I think this is like the best it's gonna get.
So,
Like, you did a good job of doing that.
revenue,
Just wouldn't probably do it like that. So especially since
revenue,
we're
try.
pretty low right now, what we can end up saying is that we did all of this work, we did look at like our screen and stuff, and even though it does show that there is like a significant explaining in the world, since our squared is so
Okay, revenue business segment.
really described, so we've been going go with this.
So,
And that would be like
in terms of, this brings us to our revenue forecast. We think that the diabetes, obesity, and cardio metabolic segments. So we think that the diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic segments will be the driving. We think the business segment driving force be the driving force behind. So we think that diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic segment will be the driving force behind revenue growth in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Tailwinds. So the GLP-1 tailwinds and
how would just one of the data would it make sense to why would it make sense to keep the reciprocal or the long? You know, it's how would popularity? It's not like I don't know. My only thing is like if you think about the interpretation, it's like say something increases.
This brings us to our revenue forecast. We think that diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic segment will be the driving force behind revenue growth in the next 10 years. Tailwinds driving this are the what's it called? GLP-1 miracle drugs.
But since popularity is like certain number,
Okay, so these tailwinds are the tailwinds driving this are the GLP,
it's like because it's ranked
are the adoption. The tailwinds driving this are the adoption of GLP-1 miracle drugs.
I get what you're saying, but regardless of interpretation,
Future.
they did do the transportation. I mean, transportation. So maybe, do you think like maybe
GLP-1 miracle drugs, robust drug pipeline. And then in terms of headwinds, okay, so this brings us to our revenue forecast. We think that diabetes, obesity, and cardiometabolic segment will be the driving force behind revenue growth in the next 10 years. The tailwinds driving this are the adoption of GLP-1 miracle drugs, future growth in the GLP-1 miracle drugs, and a promising drug pipeline.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Yes, you kept all of them. Yeah, and except we have 4 categories of miracles. I think that's what. Oh, okay. So you're and then the rest are.
This would be higher, but we think revenues could be even higher, but factors including supply constraints and increased and increased future competition are headwinds that impact revenue growth. So we think revenues could be even higher, but factors including supply constraints and increased future competitions are headwinds that impact revenue growth. So, drilling a bit deeper, we forecasted the top 9 drugs will deliver most of the future value, future revenues. There's a lot of, so we think going back to the market size, there's a lot of value to be captured in obesity and weight. So we think that going back to the market size, there's a lot of value to be captured in obesity and weight loss drugs. So Zepbound and Mounjaro. So we forecasted Zepbound and Mounjaro to price almost 50% of Eli Lilly's revenues by the end of 2033. Now you might be asking us, wondering, are these guys crazy? So, now you might be wondering if we're crazy for thinking that. And we wanted to kind of go through Okay, and so now you might be wondering, are these guys crazy? And maybe we are. So, drilling a bit deeper, we forecasted the top 9 drugs will deliver most of the future revenues. Going back to the market size, there's a lot of value to be captured in the obesity and weight loss drugs. So we forecasted Zepbound and Mounjaro to comprise almost 50% of Eli Lilly's revenue by the end of 2023. So I think at this point you guys are probably wondering, are these guys crazy? And maybe we are. There's a lot of speculation involved here and assumptions about the future, but we kind of want to break this down. But we thought that breaking it down by price and also quantities and patients can help kind of provide some extra, provide some extra insights onto what's going on here.
Some of them are
10 years. So
never mind. I was going to say due to the expression equation, but we have so many categories that no, that's your equation. Yeah.
equal to some plus some Okay. Actually, wait. Yeah, that's fine. We could do that. Okay, I think after this, I probably will have to go. Plus, so.
Think a little harder. You almost there. Yeah. It was on the tip of your tongue. No, it really wasn't. It's half my brain.
Okay, so we have 589,000. 589 billion in total sales.
Are you trying to like justify why you're doing it?
Okay, so I think with that, I think I'm gonna probably head out. But thanks for tuning in. I feel like in terms of understanding the revenue drivers, this is a lot more helpful. So I think I'm gonna probably continue the stream a little bit later today and try to finalize the revenue breakdown, and then also maybe think about how reinvestments and manufacturing capabilities and also the financing behind Eli Lilly is gonna work. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.